The average male hand size is approximately 7.6 inches. Mine were significantly smaller. This is always something I've been embarrassed about, but what is once said to be impossible, I am determined to change. In this video, I will grow my hands over these next 10 days. This is how I did it. But you gotta focus. I've actually had people comment on how small my hands are in person. Oh, it hurts the heart. But you know what? I don't care, because we're gonna change that. How are we gonna go about doing that? Different types of workers who specifically use their hand with woodworking, farming, and not limited to work. Rock climbers. I mean, look at Alex Honnold's hands. Look at this guy shaking Mike Rowe's hand. He's a potato farmer. I actually think that these specific types of jobs these people have and these specific types of things these people do actually contribute to some sort of hand hypertrophy. The idea is we're gonna try to expose our hands to this like gritty nature over this next 7 to 10 days to induce hypertrophy in the padding of the hand that surrounds the entire hand. And we're gonna do a series of crazy techniques. I am determined to grow my hands. Let's do this. This looks like a good place to start. Nice and earthy, dirt. That's exactly what we need. The concept of this hypothesis is quite simple. Stimulate a functional-like callus to grow completely around the hands, thus making them bigger. I was hoping to achieve this by mimicking the conditions of a gritty work-like environment for my hands, but hopefully accelerated through the process of progressive overload in the form of specific bigger hand training. So for the first workout, very simple. Push-ups in the dirt, getting the hands in the grit of the earth. Pull-ups not on the smooth pull-up bar, but on the wood that holds up the calisthenics rig. Also experimenting with hand placement on different gritty surfaces. One that I found that I felt was extremely effective for not only helping hand grit development, but really stimulating grip, were what I like to call tree hugs for time. Finding a medium-sized tree and just holding myself on it, feet off the ground, for time. This was very challenging for me, but I felt like it was also very stimulating for that hand grit and grip. Perfect. All right, just finished up the workout. My hands are feeling like just kind of like tingly right now. I definitely hit the hands like I was planning to do. With that being said, this is just the start. Things are about to get a lot crazier, a lot more weird, because we're gonna be trying some new things. We're throwing the kitchen sink at this, guys, all right? Everything we can to try to induce hand hypertrophy.
I got it. I'll send it to him.
Okay, thanks.
Here.
Hey.
We're growing our hand in 10 days. It's gonna grow.
What? You don't think it's
Is that true?
You don't think it's possible?
No, it's funny.
It's funny, but it's not possible.
Yeah, all you gotta do is step on it.
All right. Oh man, these rocks. You got so much good stuff back here.
Oh yes.
You know, this way.
Maybe something with like bark or something rough, you know?
We had this exact same wagon.
Did you?
Yeah.
Looks pretty useful.
I'll bring you a load if you want.
Man, it's, what kind of wood is this? This is like a.
It's just a tree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that grit. You see, like, look at that. Look at all that on the hands already. It's stimulating the hands. Like, this is where it's at. This is like how we're gonna get this done. Man, this one would be perfect right here. It's kind of gritty, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not looking for like a smooth rock. I need like that grit. Oh, I ate too much.
Yeah, you look like it.
So did I. Man, I was like, oh, filled up.
You just ate.
Terrible.
All right.
You look so primitive.
Do I? They call me the pancreas king. I only eat carbs. Man, that turned out so good. Okay, I am excited to use these guys. All right, let's take them, put them to the test. Day 3, taking our homemade tree branch grips to the gym to hit back and biceps. And dang, I was happy how these things turned out. Unlike your traditional gym workout equipment or grips, these custom tree branch grips fought back. Probably the best way to describe the sensation is they felt like gritty, primitive, fat grips. By leaving the bark on the wood, it felt like there was an extra amount of grit with each and every rep, thus stimulating the skin on my hands to hopefully adapt. They also held up extremely well and were extremely versatile. Now, I'm sorry for talking these things up. I'm just very excited how well they turned out.
This could be the next big thing. What do you guys think? So these held up pretty darn well, and on top of that, like my fingers and my hands feel pretty stimulated. So we're on the right track. Just did back and biceps, simple stuff. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually gonna finish up with this rock. Maybe we're just gonna do like some like holds or something for time. Try to work on that grip and that finger to this like earthy rock. My hands are starting to feel rough, so I think we're headed in the right direction.
Continuing with some additional grip training outside of the gym using this rock. Now, I purposefully chose a rock with a more rough surface, and I also tried to maximize hand contact to the rock with every movement. Now, there were some other exercises I decided to throw in there, purely experimental, all based around handling this rough surface. All in all, I felt like the exercises with the rock were helping me stimulate my hands in the way I was intending. The very next day, continuing with an upper body push combined with a lower body workout. Using the homemade tree branch grips for ring push-ups, as well as simply clipping them onto a barbell for some deadlift holds for maximum time. Then taking it outside and priming my hands on the ground with a technique that I like to call hearthing. So similar to earthing or walking around on a natural surface with bare feet, hearthing would be contacting a natural surface with the hands. Continuing with some bodyweight leg movements using the rock for an additional resistance source, but also to make contact with that gritty surface. Everything to maximize that grit. And then in between every exercise outside, we would go back to a 60-second interval of hearthing. Finishing up with some grip, hand, and finger stimulating movements, rock hold for maximum amount of time, followed by some tree huggers, but I decided to add in some stationary climbing to help increase the positive hypertrophy of the hands.
So it actually does look like we may be getting some girth on the fingers up at the top. I don't know if that's just because like my hands are like pumped right now, but I've noticed over the last couple of days, it felt like my hands were fuller. The grips, the hearthing we'll call it, the hand earthing, the like, you know, getting in the dirt, gritty stuff, you know, stimulating that like worker man's hands. I think we're onto something here, guys. I really do. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Alright guys, so it is day 5. Let me tell you, my hands are feeling it. Yeah, they are very sore and I do want to recover, so a technique that I'm doing today to hopefully help them recover is a ice bath. So I've got some ice, I've got a bowl, I brought it to my office and I've been dunking my hands in there. Now I thought I was going to be able to hold this for a longer period of time, but dang, after about 30 seconds, I'm like, holy moly, this is so cold and uncomfortable, and I just had to pull them out. Now the benefit that you're supposed to get with an ice bath isn't necessarily just from the cold, but it's from the contrast, going from cold back to warm, causing the blood flow, the circulation to happen. That's what we're going for, so I allowed my hands to warm back up for about 1 to 2 minutes, then I dunked them in for another 30 seconds. Now something that crossed my mind regarding to dunking the hand in this ice water is, what if maybe not in the short term, but in the long term, exposing the hands to acute or temporary coldness would maybe cause the body to have to adapt to that scenario, thus maybe making more brown fat or like this human blubber into the hands so that they would be more adaptive to the cold. Now, I don't think this would happen over the span of, like, we only have 5 days left here, but maybe over the course of like a couple months, this might cause some hand growth. But regardless, that concept to me right now is good enough for me to not just be adding this ice dunking in right now on this rest day, but I think I'm gonna continue to do it every single day the rest of this experiment. Maybe this could cause some growth in the next 5 days, or maybe at the least, this will just help with recovery by stimulating circulation,
with that being said, I'm going to continue doing these ice dunks like I said, and tomorrow we're going to continue with more exercises that is geared towards that hand growth. I'll see you all then. Days 6 and 7, continuing to implement gritty hand training into every exercise. Doing 30 seconds of hearthing between every exercise on day 6, I did this technique primarily in the dirt, while on day 7 I decided to try something new, and rather in between every exercise doing 30 seconds of rock massaging. While this might look absolutely ridiculous, I felt like the stimulation was very effective, hopefully stimulating my hands to grow stronger like a rock climber's, and thus hopefully bigger. On day 6, continuing to utilize the tree branch grips, not only did I feel like these really helped with hand grit development, but I also felt like these were very effective for challenging grip strength. And then finishing up with some tree huggers, my hands were absolutely feeling it. On day 7, trying something a little different, I wanted to see if occlusion training on just the hands would have any effect on the hand pump and thus the size. Putting the occlusion bands on with a 7 out of 10 tightness as recommended, and then training multiple sets with grippers. I'm just going to be honest, I don't feel like the occlusion training really did much for the hands, but with that being said, these are really meant to be used on the upper portion of the arm. Also continuing with the ice dunking, bumping it up to 8 sets of 30 seconds with 1 to 2 minutes of rest in between. I felt like my hands were starting to get more used to the cold, and thus hopefully starting to follow my hypothesis of that brown fat development. But at the least I started to find this very refreshing, and my hands actually felt pumped up at the end of each dunking session. Alright guys, it's day 8, just doing some ice dunks with the hands right here. Doing 30-second dunks, resting about 1 to 2 minutes in between each dunk. I think I'm going to go for a total of 10 sets today. I don't know exactly what it is, but something about this ice dunking, when I'm done with these sessions, it feels like my hands are pumped. Like it literally feels like they're just pumped up, like bigger even. Sometimes you gotta think outside the box, guys. That's the only way you're gonna be able to learn and achieve new things. At least learn and achieve new wisdom, you know what I mean? You gotta take the facts, the knowledge, organize it, use logic, and use experiences to develop wisdom. Hopefully that's where we're going right now. But regardless, I feel like all of this training is actually causing some development here, and I am super excited to see the measurements after the final day. Keep pushing forward. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Day 9, taking the tree branch grips to the gym, testing them out with a simple chest and tricep isolation workout, just doing the basics. As you can guess, they worked absolutely great. But additionally, to really stimulate the hands, we took it outside to the rocks, doing a superset of 30 seconds of push-ups on a rough rocky surface, followed immediately by, I guess, what you would call a rock climbing hold. And yes, there are no really good rock climbing areas around where I was training, but sometimes you gotta do with what you got, and I feel like this position I pulled off felt extremely effective for stimulating the hands. Then after that 30 seconds, we did 30 seconds of squeezing the grippers as hard as we could in the right and left hand. We did this for 8 total sets. Let's finish this. So I hope you're all ready to change the game with me, because ladies and gentlemen, we have results Real quick, if you want to help support this channel, get your name or username at the end credits. Check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/pygme. Sign up to be a focuser or above, get your name at the end. I want to thank everyone out there, but I really want to thank my patrons from the bottom of my heart. So did my hands get bigger? I have a standard before shot right here. We took it up against the measurements, up against the wall. We aligned the camera, so there's no angles or trickery going on here. This is lined up as perfectly as we could get it to the pixel. I'm not trying to trick anyone. I just spent the last 10 days of my life in the dirt trying to get this to work. I want to know if this works or not because I want to know if I want to continue doing this or not. Let's dive in. So I'm going to color code this blue so that you know it's the before. Nothing changed in size, it's just colored blue. First thing is first, literally try to pay attention to the bottom of these fingers right here. Specifically the middle finger, the index finger, the ring finger, maybe even a little bit of the pinky. Just pay attention to the bottom part as best you can. Before, after. Before, after. There is clearly more girth around the fingers. Like without a doubt in my mind. Look at that. Holy sausage. There is clearly more girth. Now, even more exciting than that, we have to dive in a little deeper. Check this out. So there is this little crease on my palm right here. If I go down here and I line these up perfectly, sit them in each other, going up to the top, ladies and gentlemen, look at, oh my gosh. Okay, before, after. Do you see it? Do you see that little bit? There is a little bit more on the tip of the middle finger. You can clearly see it when we overlay this perfectly. Seriously, I think we have just changed the game, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, now looking at the hands from the side, it was honestly almost impossible to get these things to line up properly. But one thing I've noticed, if you look at the palms here, the palms are certainly, look at that, certainly thicker. So certainly thicker from the side right here. And just between you and me, I didn't clip my fingernails throughout this, but you can see the tip of my finger actually became bigger with my fingernail. You can see it. It literally grew. So based on my experience over these last 10 days, I don't think hand growth is impossible. I now think like most things on the body are pretty adaptable, and if the body is put through certain stressors and allowed to recover, it can adapt and grow. Now with that being said, I'm not certain the bones in the hands could actually all of a sudden grow, but like I've been trying to say throughout this video in my hypothesis, if we can just get the skin to essentially thicken or to grow to get stronger with the hands, like a functional callus, then just a little bit around the entire hands will make the hands appear much bigger. Now something to support this for me, or I know this is gonna sound silly, but the comments I've gotten over the past couple of days regarding my hand size.
She just told me they look a lot bigger. I'm telling you guys.
I did. I really did.
I'm telling you, I think we did it. I swear. Alright.
I know she's my wife, I could be like, babe, tell me my hands look bigger, and she would tell me, but I didn't say that. She specifically commented that my hands look bigger, and yeah, I had to record it after the fact. So not only do we have measurable results, but I have these comments from the outside to reinforce what I'm seeing right here. Now with that being said, what are the exercises that I'm going to take away from this and continue to do? The ones that I really liked and I felt that really worked and stimulated the hands were the tree huggers for time, the rock massagers. I know that's weird, but it really, I'm telling you, it worked. Anything with the rock holding it for grip. Using the tree branch grips, I love those. It allowed me to take that grit into the gym and train. I'm gonna make a video on how to make those coming up in a week, okay? So stay tuned for that. Also hearthing, and I've kind of refined the technique towards the end. Not so much pounding in the grass or the dirt, but more massaging the grass, just like we're doing the rock massagers, as well as the ice dunks with the hand. I feel like there's something beyond those ice dunks more than just recovery. I want to continue this, see how far we can get this to go, see if we can get the hands to grow even bigger. So I want to know, do you guys want to see a video 30, 60, 90 days out? Did we just start something new, guys? Did we just start a crazy trend? Should we call it BHT, bigger hand training, or should we call it GHT, gritty hand training, or should we call it MHT, massive hand training. If you're interested in my bodyweight training program, Bodyweight Beast 2.0, 12-week training plan, tons of great feedback with that. Get strong, no gym required. I want to thank you all so much for your positive feedback on that program. Thank you all so much for your positive feedback on these videos. Stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe. Turn those notifications on. More videos coming out. Peace. I will see you all in the next video.